Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Namesake by Andrea Young. It took me a second to remember that. Anyway, this one comes in at 368 pages and it is my 191st book read this year. Yeah, right. 191 books read this year. It's crazy. But anyway, this is the second book in the Fable series, so if you haven't read Fable, don't watch this review because I'm going to be talking about what happens in the second book, which means I'm going to wind up spoiling some stuff that happens in the first book. So, I don't quite remember everything that I told you about the first book. I think I pretty much kept it non-spoiler for the most part. There is a little bit of a romance in there, which you do get to see further develop in the second book. But also, I just feel like, where did this romance start? So I'm having a hard time, like, completely falling into it. But at the same time, I do like it because I like Wes, who's the captain of this pirate ship. And I also like Fable. So I like both of the characters, therefore I like them together, but also I just don't really remember what exactly started the romance. It feels like he just kind of confessed his feelings for her and then all of a sudden they were together. So I wish there would have been a little bit more of the sexual tension in the beginning of the story so that we could get to where they are now, because the decisions that they're making are very much so based on wanting to be together. And if the stakes are so high with the decisions that they're making, I want the romance to be stronger to where I feel like their choices are validated, like their motivations are strong. But I'm not really quite fully getting that because I didn't see like the slow development of the relationship in the first book. So that's kind of like the one downfall. I did give this one a 4-star review. It's still an awesome series that I can get on board with. It's just that I felt like the romance needed a bit more. Now, with that being said, had I read this book physically, I might have picked up on some of the small little details that led to the romance, but because I listened to it on audiobook, I feel like I might have missed some of those small hints throughout the first book. So, it could just be me. But like I said, still a 4-star read, which is really good in my book. If I give something a 3-star, that means I liked it. So a 4-star is like, hey, I really like this book. I'm definitely going to be continuing on with the series. So now let's get into what actually happens in book 2. So at the end of book 1, we see this new character pop up. And at first I was like, wait, am I confused? Is this Wes? He's in disguise? No, it is not. He is kind of like a family friend that grew up with Fable and then kind of went off on his own and you don't hear from him again. So then you see him again in this book. So that's who that character is. I don't even remember his name. I suck with names. I did read Namesake over the series of like 6 days. So it's been a while since I had kind of finished the first 14 books in my whole little challenge of 24 books in 24 days. So yeah, this one is the 14th book, but there was a couple of days where I wasn't trying hard to finish anything. So I was just kind of listening to it here and there. And then of course, like doing Thanksgiving and all of the other stuff. So it's been a bit busy, but I'm glad I finished the second book and now I want the third one, but I'm on the wait list. So I have to wait a little while before I can listen to the third one. Otherwise I would just jump straight into it. So this one, she gets like captured by this woman who happens to be her grandmother, and her grandmother is like trying to go after Saint, who is her dad. And so she is trying to like make this deal with the grandmother in order to save Saint. And the deal is to find this jewel that no one has seen since her mother saw it. So that's the deal. She kind of sends her out on this impossible mission. And that is the premise of the story. Now, everything else that I'm going to say is going to be a spoiler. So if you don't want any spoils, go ahead and go away. I will say you get some more development from the side characters, such as Wes's sister. But other than that, I can't really say anything else about the story without spoiling. So again, I'm getting into spoilers now. Alright, so this grandmother person sends her on this mission, and then of course she's not able to complete it. So then she winds up coming back to her, and the grandmother offers a second deal, which is that she won't hurt Saint if she goes in and as like a dredger, like a born dredger or whatever, she'll go in and she'll be like, hey, give her permission to like work the waterways. And so she would also be committed to being kind of like the captain of the ship for 2 years for her grandmother. So the crew doesn't want her to do this because, see, she had been captured earlier and they had rescued her. So now they're like, why would you get further involved with this person? Like, why do you keep choosing Saint over the crew? Like, you're a member of this crew now. He doesn't love you. Why don't you just kind of like let it go? Whatever happens to him, and be fine with it. But she's like, he's my dad. Even if he doesn't love me, like, I still have a bond with him. I don't want him to die. So she goes and she's going to sign this deal. But what happens is Wes beats her to it. So he signs on to captain the ship so that she can stay with the crew, the Marigold. And there's this whole thing where like they sign over the Marigold. So then they've got to find a way to get the Marigold out. Because that was like the leverage that they left her whenever they went on this mission to get the stone or whatever that no one had been able to find. And so there was a lot going on with this book. But anyway, that gets the Marigold back and he signs it over to her name so that she'll have it in case something happens to him during his 2 years. But also he doesn't want to be apart from her. Well, of course, she doesn't want to be apart from Wes either, and she still needs protection for Saint, so she winds up signing a deal as well with the same woman. And so then they're relying on Saint to present this, like, Mariner's ring for this other guy who's like a shady character. And then the shady character will, like, speak out against the grandmother woman, so that she can't stake a claim to, like, you know, do stuff on the seas. So it's a whole big thing. They do wind up doing it. Also, Wes, like, captures a small child to make sure that the guy follows through, and Saint delivers by giving him the merchant ring. And then you also find out that he had given her a way to detect the stone, but he didn't know how she would use it. So it had to do with her being this gem sage. So she actually, when she goes through this part of the ocean looking for it, she thinks she has spotted her mother. Like, she feels the essence of her mother there, but it's not. What she's really feeling is the stone. So it's like the mother had gave her some piece of jewelry or something, and like it had the same feel as the stone. So then she figured out like where it was. So all works out well. And then we have this third book, and I don't have a clue what's going to happen in this third book. I'm telling you, so much has happened in this series, it gets a little jumbled in my brain, where there's like all the details are kind of scrambled, I guess you would say. So I don't really think of the book in a very linear fashion. I just think of like the high points all in one. But yeah. What I want to see happen is I want to see them do the Marigold. And I don't really know what I want to happen in the third book. I do want to see more development with the romance, because I really am like a big romance reader. And that's one of the main things I like about books. So I would like to see that develop more and have a little more substance to it. Like, I want to know exactly why they like each other. And I'm not really getting that right now. I also want to see what happens with the sister, because she had decided to leave the ship. But now they're talking about doing trading stuff with this other guy. And so it might change it to where they're not working for these bad people anymore. They're working for themselves. So maybe she won't want to get off the ship. It's just a little bit up in the air, but I really like her. So I would like to see the romance develop, and I would like to see more about the sister and what she's going to do. Because she's like, you know, the first mate or whatever on the ship. So anyway, that's all I really have to say. I'm sorry this is a bit of a jumbled review, but that's kind of what happens when I'm listening to books, is the details kind of just get all up in there. But yeah, I do like the series. I do feel like it has the Daughter of the Pirate King vibes to it. So if you like that series, you'll like this one. I felt like the romance was stronger in Daughter of the Pirate King. There was more of like them figuring out their feelings for each other, whereas this one just kind of skipped over that and then they were in a relationship. But yeah, I'm excited. Also, speaking of Daughter of the Pirate King, there is a third book coming that no one knew about that is going to be coming out hopefully in 2023. So I'm really excited about that. But also, it's not really part of the duology. It's just set in the same world and has a different character who also happens to be a person of color. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, I will be continuing on to the third book in the series, and I also need to find a way to get a hold of Saint. But Saint is actually not out yet, so it's a prequel novel. I didn't know that until today, so I kept trying to find it. And it doesn't come out until like November 2023. So maybe I'll get an arc at some point. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed this review, even though it's a bit scrambled. And check out the Fable series if you have not already. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye!